This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefravain series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 2. Flames. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 7.
Hi, I'm Kimmy from TaleChasing.com, a podcast for writers and urban fantasy. I'm also a voice actress, and you can find me at gifted-reader.com. Previously on the Cowry Catchers podcast. The Fang picks up Thessalon on its way past Mans. Gerard is tormented by dreams of the priestess, which he believes she is sending on purpose. Silvio tells him to talk to Thessalon about what happened, but Gerard balks. Finally, the nightmares drive him to confess. Thessalon is not angry with Gerard, only worried. As they near Lecklock, a flock of wild pegasus fly over the ship and begin to sing with Thessalon's harp music. Gerard finds that something about the song helps to keep Morchella out of his head. The display ends when Arundel shoots one of the Pegasus.
Chapter 16. The Deep Dungeons.
The lesser priestesses are a shadowy order who keep the temple grounds. They hardly ever come from the islands where they serve, which helps to keep them a mystery to the population. They come from all kinds of backgrounds: orphans, minor nobility, peasants, losers in political skirmishes. They are generally taken young, preferably at 4 or 5, but never older than breeding age. They practice intensive meditation, assisted by a variety of drugs. A close look at their practices is difficult because it is rare to find a priestess who has run away. It is unclear whether this is because the wyverns hunt them down, or because they simply do not wish to leave. Gawain, the truth about wyverns.
The taller of the two Zeds was a female, and as proud as any queen. She was tall enough to glare almost levelly at Gerard, as the sailors led them out onto the deck early the next morning. The dock was quiet and foggy, the city exhausted from its evening revel. Moon Festival was in its third day of 10. Red, yellow, and blue lanterns hung everywhere. Gerard led the prisoners up the main street towards the temple complex. This was technically his province, and his police had taken charge of the prisoners as they left the ship. Silvio, however, had insisted on coming, ostensibly to report, although Gerard suspected some other reason. Having Silvio along made him feel better, although he knew that it would make no difference to Morchella. He'd thought long and hard about what he would say when he met her, and he'd decided, after talking to Thessalon, that a final try at diplomacy wouldn't hurt. It was the season of the winter storms, and any extensive travel outside the Crescent would be almost impossible until spring.
I must find a way to live with things until then. Also,
Gerard reasoned,
I was practically drugged in the cave.
Now he felt strong enough to fight off a female Grishnard, although he recognized that Morchella was not like other Grishnards.
I will try to talk to her, try to make myself clearer.
They passed the market, just beginning its daily bustle. Lecklock might be small, but it had the largest mineral deposits in Wefravain, including the only sizable sources of lapis lazuli. Even Hunty from the Lawless Lands came here to trade for the splendid blue stones. They were said to be sacred to the gods, and many Shelts wore them at festival time. Silvio wasn't about to miss an opportunity to wear something flashy. He was dressed in white samite and wearing a necklace of flat, polished lapis stones on a silver chain. They lay against his chest, each one as big around as his palm, shimmering deep blue with golden flecks like stars. He had lapis cufflinks and a lapis belt, and silver and lapis bracelets jingling on his wrists. His boots were blue leather, trimmed with tiny scales of polished lapis and tooled with silver.
Just enough
Thought Gerard.
to be too much.
Silvio was wearing his hat made of white selkie leather with an iridescent feather from some bird of the mainland jungles, or perhaps a pegasus.
No wonder the priestess picked him all those years ago. He's certainly as colorful as a wyvern.
Silvio caught Gerard's eye and grinned.
Think I could look any cheaper if I tried?
That's not what I was thinking at all. You actually look fairly expensive.
Silvio laughed and rubbed his hands together.
Good. I aim for expensive. Gods know I spent enough of my life looking cheap.
You didn't put anything in your tail.
Silvio yawned.
Didn't feel like waking up that early. Looking this expensive takes a bit of effort.
Gerard was thinking about Basil's rings.
You never wear rings, do you?
Silvio shook his head.
They make my fingers clumsy.
Gerard smiled.
Practical flamboyant.
I haven't yet met a piece of jewelry worth dying over. Here we are at the happy cages of the blessed. Wonder who's on the menu this year.
In spite of Silvio's personal philosophy, everybody's wrong, everybody cheats, Gerard still found his complete lack of piety somewhat startling considering his position. The happy cages, to which Silvio referred, were the quarters of the temple sacrifices, a different kind of shelter for each of the 10 days. They had beautiful gilded enclosures, over which worshippers would throw flower wreaths and strings of colored paper folded into various shapes. The sacrifices were liable to be handed all kinds of gifts by worshippers: costly jewelry, strings of Cowry coins, beautiful clothes, lavish amounts of expensive food. All these things were considered offerings to the gods and were thought to bring blessings in the coming year. Some of the sacrifices tried not to accept their gifts, which lay scattered on the ground around their cages where they'd flung them. Others wore what they'd been given, as though beauty or obedience might save them from what was coming. Gerard saw a gazumel, a gray foxling, a leopon, an ocelon, a zed, a hunty, and a selkie. The selkie had been placed in a little tub of water made from a single enormous clamshell, gleaming mother of pearl within. The little non peered over the side with huge, soulful black eyes. It was perhaps the size of an ocelon, with cream-colored fur and a creamy-furred seal's tail. Its hands were webbed, its skin milk-white. Gerard peered at it through the bars. The few selkies he'd seen had been little more than streaks in the water, an excited babble of exclamations from onlookers, and then they were gone.
Do you speak Krishnard?
He asked. The selkie looked back at him blankly, then made a kind of sobbing bark.
Don't talk to them,
growled Silvio at his elbow.
Why not?
Silvio just shook his head. It was the 3rd day of the festival, and 2 cages were already standing empty. The Grishnard sacrifice always came first, and never occupied a cage. The Grishnard had to come willingly. It was said that Grishnards who gave themselves in this way received a rich reward on the shores beyond the world. Most years there were several volunteers, from which the priestess selected a single offering. They were met in the dungeon foyer by a minor priestess. She bowed to them, looking out of place there in her white robes, but infinitely confident.
Sirs are to accompany me. Bring the prisoners. There's no need for other guards.
So Gerard's new police loitered in front of his office, while he and Silvio and the prisoners continued on alone, following the priestess, who carried a lamp. They went down several flights of stairs until they reached the basement level, where most of the cells were used as storage. Gerard noticed that Silvio's tail had begun to bristle.
I thought so. Whenever she gets a new idea, we end up down here.
Down where?
The lower dungeons. I didn't even know about them until I'd been Admiral for 3 years. This is where Marcella brings prisoners when she wants to deal with them herself. There's water. I think it connects to the sea.
My police and sea watch, home at last.
Marcella had come up behind them so quietly that Gerard jumped and Silvio flicked his ears in annoyance.
As Mistress requested,
began Silvio.
We brought you the prisoners from the water sprite.
The prisoners in question were beginning to look decidedly fretful. Even the tall Zed was walking more slowly.
Yes, yes.
Sang Morchella as she strode ahead of them.
I've got a new interrogator. Maven. I want to see how good he is.
She glanced over her shoulder at Gerard and smiled.
Not that I don't have every confidence in my captain of police.
But I'm no torturer, and you know it.
Gerard's stomach was beginning to churn.
I knew this was part of my job even before I had any trouble with Morchella. I agreed to carry out a function. I can do this. If I don't, she'll call me weak. She'll have even less reason to listen to me.
Morchella stopped at a low door and began to unlock it. Silvio turned suddenly, took Gerard by the elbow, and dragged him several paces back up the passage.
Get out of here. I'll handle this. Just go.
Gerard stared at him.
I have to do my job.
No, you don't. Gerard, you can't do this. It will destroy you.
He leaned up on tiptoe, and Gerard bent to hear the whisper.
I already have so many nightmares in my head. One more won't make a difference. Now go.
In a louder voice, he barked,
I know what you're good for, Halavar, and if I need anyone bludgeoned to death, I'll call you. But interrogation requires finesse. The last time I let you near a valuable prisoner, I ended up with a body and nothing to show for it. I'm sure your police need someone to hold their hands while they explore their new domain.
The door stood open now, and somewhere at the edge of the pool of light, a hulking shape moved. Morchella was watching Silvio and Gerard curiously. Gerard wasn't sure she'd bought Silvio's display, but she made no comment as Gerard turned and started back to his office. He felt intense relief, tempered with guilt. He tried to analyze the guilt and couldn't.
Is it because I'm not doing my job?
But he was no good at this aspect of his job and probably never would be.
Am I sorry for the prisoners?
If free, these fawns would almost certainly be assisting their companions in torturing and killing captured Sea-Watch sailors. Gerard knew some of those sailors. They were his friends. He could not feel wholly sympathetic for their enemies.
Is it because I left Silvio there alone?
But that didn't make sense.
Silvio can take care of himself.
His voice in those last sentences had been the old Silvio, full of invective and scorn. But his eyes, looking up at Gerard, had been almost desperate. Gerard couldn't stop thinking about that look as he returned to his office. Chapter 17. Messy.
Winged wolves have unusual reproductive habits. They lay a leathery, snake-like egg, from which hatches a well-developed pup. This pup licks milk from glands on the bellies of breeding females in the communal nest for a brief period before beginning to feed, first on blood regurgitated by adults, and later on the blood of various prey. Gwaine, the non-Grishnards of Wefervane.
Gerard spent the morning notifying his old police of their retirement, mostly via his new police. He fielded questions and dealt with a few angry Grishnards. Gerard was inclined to be curt with them. He did not attempt to explain all his reasons for their dismissal, but he did occasionally use the words incompetent and ineffectual. He shamelessly used his size and presence to intimidate, and he employed prolonged silence like other Shelts might employ curse words. Even his new police were beginning to tiptoe around him by the time he told them to take the rest of the day off and see to their own lodging and comfort. By noon, he was sitting alone in his office. He wished Marlowe were there. Gerard hadn't known him for very long, but he liked him. Marlowe had been quiet and useful and untaxing. He would have known where to order food and tea. He would have known where to order the recruitment posters that Gerard wanted made. He would have gone out and bought clothes to Gerard's specifications and probably known where to order uniforms.
Was he really a spy? I suppose it doesn't matter now.
Gerard's office, at least, looked untouched, though he examined everything very carefully. He set to work on a new registry of police shelts, their dates of enlistment, and every bit of information he knew about them. If he, or another captain of police, had to root out another spy, Gerard thought this information would be useful. There had been no such registry when he arrived. He thought this odd, and wondered whether the person who searched his office might have destroyed it. Dark fell early this time of year, and Gerard could see through his open door that the light had turned dusky when Silvio finally came jingling into his office. He leaned against Gerard's doorframe. He looked tired. He had blood on one snowy sleeve.
You wore the wrong color for today,
remarked Gerard, without thinking. Silvio gave a hollow laugh. He rubbed his eyes with both hands.
I did, didn't I?
He dropped his hands and stared vacantly at Gerard's desk.
Do you want to get something to eat?
Gerard nodded. He hadn't eaten since breakfast. Silvio said nothing as Gerard locked his office and the main dungeon entrance. He thought about leaving it open for Morchella.
but obviously she has a key. She seems to come and go as she pleases. Are the prisoners dead?
Asked Gerard as they started out of the temple complex.
Mostly.
Do you mean most of them are dead, or that all of them are partly?
Don't ask, Gerard. There was a reason I sent you out of there. Just don't ask.
He was shivering in spite of his warm clothes. Gerard watched him with a frown. For all he'd grown to like and trust Silvio, Gerard knew that he was capable of remorseless cruelty and that he was difficult to shock. Silvio had worked with Morchella for a long time. She couldn't have many secrets left.
What did you see in there that's got you so upset?
The market was a blaze of light and noise. Festival music, minstrels telling stories, dancing, drinking, booths selling trinkets. The excitement would build till red moon's high around midnight, when the priestess's dragons would accept their next offering, and the worshippers would scatter until tomorrow. Silvio walked aimlessly through throngs of shelts who usually made way for him. Sometimes they encountered one of the Sea-Watch sailors who would call a greeting. Silvio ignored them. At last, they passed a restaurant with walled paper booths that offered some privacy.
You're all right.
Asked Gerard. Silvio glanced around, nodded. They took a booth and ordered fawn pie and mere fruit wine, the specialty of the restaurant. Silvio was still shivering. Gerard took off his coat and dropped it around Silvio's shoulders, completely entombing him in wool and silk. Silvio looked up and blinked. Gerard sat down across from him.
Now will you tell me what's wrong?
Silvio cleared his throat.
You shouldn't do that.
Shouldn't do what?
Coat.
Silvio shrugged out of it and pushed it across the table.
Why? You're cold, I'm not.
I'm not cold,
said Silvio, in the face of all evidence.
Besides, it's one of those reputation things.
Their drinks had come. Silvio consumed his in 2 gulps and ordered another.
Don't be ridiculous,
snapped Gerard.
No one cares. No one's paying attention. Besides, to hear Basil talk, you'd think it doesn't matter what I do or say. Schultz are going to think any friend of yours is in bed with you.
Silvio sniffed.
Basil says all kinds of ridiculous things.
I say all kinds of what?
Gerard looked up to see Basil poking his head into their booth. He was dressed in crimson and gold, with a touch of lapis in his earrings. He proceeded into the booth in spite of Gerard's scowl, or perhaps because of it, and deposited himself next to Silvio, so close that their elbows were touching.
Mind if I join?
Neither Gerard nor Silvio said anything, and Basil frowned.
I'm not interrupting a quarrel, am I?
Gerard thought about saying yes, in hopes that Basil would leave, but Silvio shook his head.
Nope, just determined drinking.
Excellent, I'm good at that. I don't need a reason. But you usually do. What's wrong, Sylvie?
When Silvio said nothing, Basil glanced at Gerard. Gerard hesitated.
He helped the priestess interrogate those prisoners. It must have been messy.
Basil put an arm around Silvio.
Messy doesn't usually bother you, eh, boss? Must have been something else.
Silvio's eyes flicked up, and he glanced from Basil to Gerard.
Will you two stop nattering at me? Either eat your food and drink your wine, or go away.
He didn't actually shrug Basil's arm off his shoulder, though, something that surprised Gerard and seemed to surprise Basil as well.
Easy, boss,
murmured Basil. He ran a thumb down Silvio's throat, and Silvio tensed, but didn't pull away.
You cold?
No, I'm not cold. Why does everyone keep asking me that?
Probably because you're shaking?
Gerard was beginning to feel uncomfortable. Basil reached his other hand across Silvio's belly to his hip and pulled the foxling into his lap. Silvio's hat toppled to the ground. He growled and spread his hands on the table to steady himself, but he didn't actually try to get away.
Gerard,
he said through clenched teeth.
I think you should leave now.
Yes,
muttered Basil, muffled with his mouth against the side of Silvio's neck.
Go play somewhere else, Gerard.
Gerard went. He could feel himself blushing, and he was also angry.
At Basil? At Silvio? At Morcella? At all of them?
He shrugged on his coat and left the restaurant.
Do you think this will make you feel better, Silvio? But then what do I know? Maybe it will.
He considered returning to his office, but the idea of sitting down to more paperwork in that cold, silent place, with Morcella perhaps lurking around some corner, made him feel ill. He was hungry, but none of the food in the stands looked appetizing. He wondered where Alcere had got to. Alcere liked festivals, liked the noise and the crowds, the ready food, the bills of which would be sent to Gerard, the other griffins playing tag in the sky. It was the mating season for griffins, and they were not monogamous creatures. Thessaline was still on the ship. Gerard had asked her to stay there until he had some idea of where he stood with Morcella. Thessaline did not enjoy festivals anyway, for all she was a minstrel. Too much chaos, too many things to trip over, too much drunken singing.
I'll go back to the Fang,
he thought. Talking to Thessaline always helped him make sense of things. He'd reached the edge of the market, beyond most of the festival clamor, when someone stumbled into him, hard enough to make him stagger. Gerard had been walking fast, with his head down, and the stranger, certainly drunk, came from the other side of the street, from the other direction. He grabbed at Gerard's shoulder to steady himself, while Gerard was still recovering his balance. Then, somehow, the drunk managed to get his feet tangled with Gerard's, and they hit the ground. Gerard sat up, snarling, but before he could utter a word, something hit him in the chest, smacking him back down onto the pavement. The back of his head struck so hard he saw white spots. Gerard gasped. It was difficult to breathe, and he couldn't see properly. Someone was leaning over him with one foot on his chest.
You.
Gawain grinned.
Hello, Gerard.
Chapter 18. Interruption and Invitation.
The game lodge on Major Minor is famously neutral ground. No Shelts of any kind are allowed to attack one another there, and the place has been used for peace talks by warring islands on several occasions. Gawain, a guide to Wefravain.
Gawain was half kneeling, with one foot and most of his weight on Gerard's chest. Gerard could feel the sharpened edge of the steel hoofshoe digging into his sternum. He'd fallen with his sword under him, but his hand was inching towards his belt knife.
Don't do that,
said Gawain, conversationally.
I'll cut your throat.
Gerard had no doubt that he could, probably with nothing more than that sharpened blade on his hoof. Gerard tried to speak, but couldn't get enough air.
Is no one paying attention to this?
But of course they weren't. Gerard had left the main festival, and most of the Shelts passing them were going home. They saw only a couple of drunks having a fight, and gave them a wide berth.
You know,
said Gawain, as he opened something in his hands,
I thought at first you'd be easy to kill, but you're not. Everyone was sure you were dead after that spider dragged you off, but I had my doubts, and here you are. I heard you read one of my books.
Yes,
managed Gerard.
You're not going to kill me. If you were, you would have done it by now.
He drew a painful breath. His lungs were recovering from the blow, but Dwayne's weight wasn't making it easy.
Didn't have much to say about spiders.
Gawain laughed.
Neglectful of me.
He shook a few drops of something from a vial onto Gerard's face. For a moment, Gerard panicked. He flung Gawain off his chest, careless of his deadly hooves. He staggered up and back against the wall of the building, rubbing his burning eyes.
Has he blinded me?
It was getting worse. He forced his eyes open and saw, through a stinging haze, that the street was empty.
I should go tell Silvio.
It hurt to breathe. Gerard could barely see and wondered whether he might really go blind. The pain was excruciating. He managed to weave his way to a vendor where he demanded water.
Not a glass, a bucket.
They brought it, and he doused his face repeatedly. Nevertheless, it was a quarter watch before the pain began to ebb, and he could keep his eyes open for long enough to find his way back to the restaurant. Gerard hesitated at the door to the booth.
Surely Silvio and Basil are finished.
The booth was empty. Gerard caught the arm of a passing server.
You know where Admiral Lemire went? He was in this booth.
The serving girl swallowed.
The Admiral and his lieutenant?
Gerard's tail lashed.
Yes. Do you know when they left?
Actually, they didn't leave, sir. They asked for one of the raised booths, but I wouldn't recommend going up there.
Of course you wouldn't. Where?
She pointed. The room had a balcony along the back wall with a number of closed booth boxes. The booths were not designed for total privacy. Each had a waist-high wall so that diners could look out over the restaurant. Gerard was tall enough to knock on the wall, which he proceeded to do.
Silvio.
No response. He spoke a little louder.
Silvio, I need to talk to you.
A long pause. He was about to call again when he heard a faint voice from the back of the booth.
Gerard?
I need to talk to you. Something just happened. Something important.
Does he never go away?
Basil, petulant, faintly breathless.
Not now, Gerard.
Came Silvio's muffled mumble.
Go back to the Fang. I'll talk to you in the morning.
Gerard wondered how much he should blurt out, even in the noisy restaurant. His eyes still burned, and he felt irritated.
I should have brought that bucket of water and thrown it over them.
He banged with his fist on the wall.
I said it's important. Silvio, it's about Gawain.
Nothing. Gerard felt intensely frustrated. He turned and climbed the stairs 2 at a time, then hammered on the door to the booth.
I'm coming in there.
He gave them about 5 counts and then walked in. Basil and Silvio were curled up in a tangle of arms, legs, and tails on an overstuffed pillow in the corner of the room. Gerard tried not to figure out who had what where. Silvio's hat was lying in the middle of the floor, along with his lapis necklace. His bangles were everywhere, and Gerard spotted 3 throwing knives scattered among them. Basil snarled.
Oh, for the love of...
He's here.
Hissed Gerard.
Gerard!
Silvio barked. He was finally angry.
Is it not clear that I am busy? I don't come barging into your cabin when you're busy. Go away.
You're not listening to me.
No, I'm not. I'm not in a listening mood.
Gerard turned away from them and looked out over the restaurant.
Gawain is here. He knocked me down in the street and nearly blinded me with some burning concoction.
Gerard put his hands in his pockets.
What's this?
He took out a sheet of paper.
And apparently he left us a note.
Basil wasn't attending any better than Silvio.
Is he the sort that likes to watch? Is that why he won't go away?
Gerard, if you don't... What did you say?
Gerard repeated himself. He heard the sounds of bodies shifting behind him, possibly clothes being assembled, a growl, a mutter. And then Silvio came padding over. His shirt was unbuttoned to the waist, and his hair had come out of its tie, a ripple of silvery white over his shoulders.
All right, so what happened?
Basil came up behind Silvio, slid one hand inside his shirt, and kissed the top of his head. Gerard tried very hard not to notice what Basil was doing with his other hand. Silvio shifted minutely.
Stop that. Gerard, you smell like pepper and polecat musk.
Does that sting when it gets in your eyes?
Very much.
Is it permanent?
No. Basil, I said quit.
Gerard handed him the note. It was on the same sort of durable paper on which Gawain's book had been printed. It had been folded several times, and on the outside it said, Silvio and Gerard, in phonetic characters. Silvio opened it while Basil bent and started kissing his way down the side of Silvio's throat and shoulder. The letter was handwritten in common Grishnard.
Meet me in the game lodge in the neutral zone on Major Minor 20 days from now. About 50 of your Sea Watch are hoping you'll come. The Zeds are hoping you won't. If you're afraid to talk to me, I could send you more reading material, Silvio. T. Gerard?
Gerard scowled.
We're being baited.
Silvio flipped the paper over, sniffed it.
Of course we're being baited. Major Minor. Well, you may get your wish. Basil, are you deaf? I said stop!
Basil gave a frustrated growl. Silvio ducked out of his arms and rapidly finished dressing.
He knocked you down, slipped the letter into your pocket, and blinded you to keep you from following him. I might be able to scent track him. Unlikely among all these shelts and after this much time, but maybe.
Basil sighed and leaned against the wall with a resigned expression.
Whatever you say, boss.
Neither Gerard nor Silvio looked at him as they left the room. You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio,
Chris Lester,
as Gawain,
Kim the comic book goddess,
as Marcella,
J. Daniel Sawyer,
as Basil,
Liz Mirziewski,
as a waitress and a minor priestess. Special thanks goes to Brian Lincoln, Charlie Blanchard, and Alex Thomaser for helping with the first pass audio editing for this book. You can find links to their projects on the cast and characters page, and if you haven't visited that page, you really should. There are portraits of the individual characters, photographs of their voice actors, and extra information about both. Sound effects for this podcast were generously provided by SoundSnap and the Free Sound Project. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Monsters, also by Beth Quist, both licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 2 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. It also included Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works. And I'm back. This is 2025 Abby coming to you with some comments on this episode. Regarding the introduction, it looks to me like the tail chasing podcast that Kimmy Alexander used to run is still available. You can still get the episodes for that. It looks to me like they had 56 episodes, which is quite a run, and then the podcast ended in February of 2015. But if you Google Tail Chasing Podcast, it looks like you can still find it. And it's a podcast about writing, I think specifically urban fantasy. So like werewolves and vampires, that sort of thing. As far as the storytelling goes, again, there are 2 characters in the background of this episode who are major characters later. One of them is Anaru, who is one of the prisoners here. And the other one is Maven. And telling you anything else about that person would be huge spoilers. But for those of you who already know the story, I will point out that those 2 characters are both here in this episode in the background, not speaking or being described. At the end of the episode here, I actually mentioned some of the people who helped me edit the voice track together. Thank you again to those people. It was very helpful. Those people were Brian Lincoln, who I've spoken about before. He and I won a Parsec Award for the Fullcast podcast. And then Charlie Blanchard and Alex Thomaser, both friends of the podcast, who had audio skills and helped me on the voice track with this one. So I'm glad I did actually mention them by name in the episode outro. I also mentioned the cast and characters page on the website. And guys, I'm sorry that no longer exists, because that was kind of a cool page. I had portraits of all the characters by Green Sprite, and then also pictures of their voice actors. I don't know that I can recreate that page. I don't know where the pictures of the voice actors are specifically. I've still got the portraits from Green Sprite, and I have put all of those up on the Discord server under, there's a thread, it has that # thing beside it for the Cowry Catchers, Guild of the Cowry Catchers relaunch podcast. And you can get to that and all kinds of comments from people, live reads, fan art, guys who have read all the way to the end of the story. There is a picture of Balthazar, Silas's cockroach, in the last book. And those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to be listening for a while. This is a pet. This is a pet from the final book. Anyway, I'm just saying, there's a lot of fun stuff on the Discord. I had no idea it was going to take off as much as it did. It launched this year, and there's just so much cool stuff on there. And if you're a Hunter's Unlucky fan, oh my goodness, there's so much great art and chatter, and like I did a whole thread trying to figure out how Fairy Shaft mate. It is a good time. You are welcome to join the Discord as of this recording. I do not have it locked. I would ask that you be a grown-up. It's not for children. You shouldn't be listening to this at all if you're a child. And I really only want people on there who have read or listened to at least some of my books. But if you're hearing the sound of my voice, then you have. It's really not intended for people who have never consumed my novels. I will make you go to the Patreon to get the link for that, because we didn't put it out in public for a reason, and I don't want trolls and bots. And if I get them, I will lock it down and make it something that you have to be a patron to actually get into. But as of right now, I have not locked it down. I've just made it a little bit difficult to find. So yeah, if you come to the Patreon, you can find the link to get into that Discord. My Patreon is actually a link in the show notes for all these episodes, but it's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. And you can also see all of the illustrations there. You can listen to the podcast there. The people at the $3 level get, I think I say this in the outro that I append to all of these episodes. Anyway, the people at the $3 level get the episodes 1 week early, and all of the illustration art is in those posts. So if you want to look at it, you can use either collections. There's a collection for all of the Pirates of Wefervain saga podcasts. There's also a tag on all of them, and that will separate it out from my many, many other projects. Speaking of which, I just finished Thrive, which is Hunter's Universe Book 6. So if that's interesting to you, in real time, I just finished that. And that draft will sit on Patreon while I work on something else until I can edit it appropriately, and then it will be off to final beta readers and probably coming out, I would hope, by the end of the year. Can't promise. I do have to write part of the next book before I can do the edit for that one. Anyway, that's a different series, but if you like these books, I feel like the likelihood is you would enjoy Hunter's universe, starting with Hunter's Unlucky. It is xenofiction, like true xenofiction. The characters are not... I shouldn't say that. Technically, pirates is also xenofiction. I mean, they are non-human characters, which is the criteria for xenofiction. But more often, xenofiction is animal stories in which the animals actually behave like animals, you know. They're not waving swords or wearing clothes. They have different instincts than human beings, but you lean into the elements of their biology that are somewhat human, and, you know, people can empathize with them, even if they are not quite human. Anyway, the Hunter's Universe books are also published under Abigail Hilton, and if you have never listened to them or read them, you can start on retailers if you so desire, but if you want to get deeper into the series, you do have to come to my store and get them directly from me. Those books are published under Abigail Hilton, just like Guild of the Cowry Catchers, and the first book is Hunter's Unlucky. Mr. Newton, say hello to the people! Anyway, if you would like to see character portraits, those are all on the Discord. If you would like to talk to other fans, or post fan art, or see fan art, that is all on the Discord. I hope you are enjoying the story, and I will see you in the next episode. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010, all rights are reserved to the author.